awesome. Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't totally mess up everything. Because I don't know what happened to the video I'm trying to share right now. Just
Da, da, da.
There it is. All right. Hello, everybody. What is going on? I am Dan Russo. Welcome back to Under the Covers. It is Sunday. It is just afternoon, and we are live I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. My guest today, the tremendous Wyn Doran, who is a rock star, a phenomenal singer-songwriter, a complete powerhouse of a human being. Thank you so much for being here. This is a huge honor for me that you are a guest on the program today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dan. It's awesome to be with you.
Yes, thank you so much. And so you are a local singer-songwriter. You've been playing seemingly forever, and we actually just before we started had a. Oh, wait a second! I just echoed myself. Sorry. We talked about Dave Crespo. It's Dave Crespo's birthday. And happy birthday, Dave Crespo.
Dave.
Hopefully you are watching from Salt Lake City, Utah, where he is once again trying to start a brand new scene of underground music places and music venues and musicians. And I bring that up, first of all, because it's awesome. Dave was a huge inspiration and help in the original in 2014 when we started this show originally. But also, I think that he was instrumental in both yours and my kind of starting to play music in and around Boston. So I guess that leads to the question of can you give us like I know Dave Crespo from blah, 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 and I loved playing blah, 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 and I hated playing blah, blah, blah. And so go for it.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Crespo gave me my first show. So that is so special to me. And that just came up in my Facebook memories this week because it was a PA's Lounge gig, late one, probably Wednesday night.
Wednesday at 11 o'clock at PA's Lounge.
Truly. And it was amazing. Like, that meant everything to me back then. It was with my first band, Strangers by Accident. And Dave he was just always so supportive. Like, my gigs for the first couple of years and were him giving me a chance. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I think it would not surprise me if a lot of people who, as they were coming up in Boston around, let's say it was like 7 years ago, maybe, probably.
Yeah.
Around there. And probably have a lot, he's one of those instrumental people. Tom Bianchi, Hugh McGowan, the people who set up the open mics, and it's just like really, really special to have had working with those people.
Yeah.
So in Strangers by Accident, when you got started, because I think of you in like two parts. There's the Strangers by Accident you, then there's the you, right? And
yes.
And I feel like that there's a like what kind of crossover have you as an artist seen between the two?
Okay, that's interesting. In quarantine, I guess I've been exploring that more because Strangers by Accident broke up soon before 2020. And so I was kind of throwing myself into solo stuff just while I was figuring out the next thing. Mm-hmm. But then when I've been writing through 2020, I've heard like that folk, sometimes alternative country voice come out of me, which is something that I was totally avoiding when I originally started writing solo outside of the band. So they're kind of fusing a little bit. We'll see what happens. can't run away from.
Yeah, how much like I mean I know that you have a classically trained background. How much do you think as a solo artist do you either go toward that or shy away from it?
Another thing that I was wholeheartedly running away from for the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And again, quarantine. It's been a blessing and a curse. I've been working on my voice because I think when I started playing music outside of growing up in choirs, I was really into saying I never was trained classically and like trying to just not sing that way at all. And now I'm seeing that there's a power in there that I can harness. So I'm trying to strike that balance.
That's very cool. And what kind of power? Like, is it like the I can hit that note kind of power, or is there more of a feeling of? Is it more of a confidence thing as you're playing? Where do you think that power comes from?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think it's the high notes. I always hated, not always, when I started trying to sing in a more contemporary or folk style, I shied away from exploring the higher registers of my voice because I just equated that to me being a first soprano. And I, for some reason, grew like a hatred around my classical voice in my early 20s. So I really didn't want to go there at all. But now I've realized there's like a balance that you can strike between the two and still hit those high notes. And it doesn't have to be like an opera singer singing
Right,
them. So
right, and it's I find it like your early 20s when everybody decides that they're punk rock if they didn't decide when they were 16, right? It's like,
exactly.
oh
Yes.
no, I want to do the opposite of everything anybody has ever told me that I should do. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I think
exactly.
you're spot on there. That's amazing and tremendous. And not only that, I mean, you're a singer songwriter with an electric, you know. So it's like let's just keep going. Let's just keep going,
yeah.
pushing the envelope, pushing. And I always find that it's such a power move. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna get up here with my electric. And your songs are singer songwritery songs. It's not like they're, you're not getting up there and playing Nirvana, but you're getting up there and there's a hint of edge that I've always been in awe of when I see you play, and I think that that's
Thank you.
fantastic. Yeah, and
Thank you.
I'm honestly I'm a little nervous and a little afraid of it, but
There's nothing to be afraid of.
when you asked if you when you sent me the message saying that you wanted to be on the show, it was like, really? so so cool. Thank
Well,
you for
I'm
being
very
here. This
happy
is
to be
great.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you have a song that we can start off with here?
Sure.
Right.
I feel like since you brought up Nirvana, I should play my Nirvana one, even though that wasn't
Yes.
what I was gonna play first. That's probably the one I'm most scared to play too. So might as well just
Get
like
it out of the way. Get
rip
it out of the
it
way.
off. But yeah, Nirvana is very near and dear to my heart. So I've been covering one of their songs for almost 10 years, and then in the last month decided to broaden my repertoire and learn one more, which this will be the first time that I'm playing live for anybody. But yeah, so I'll jump into Come As You Are. Come as you are, as you were, as I want you to be, as a friend, as an old enemy. Take your time, hurry up, the choice is yours, don't be late. take a rest as a friend, as an old memory. Calm, doused in mud, soaked in bleach, as I want you to be, as a trend, as a friend, as an old memory. And I swear that I don't have a gun. No, I don't have a gun. No, I don't have a gun. And I swear that I don't have a gun. No, I don't have a gun. No, I don't have a gun. Memory.
Oh, that was tremendous. You got a lot of love from the chat as well as I was watching it go by. That was amazing. And I had to run upstairs because our guitar twins.
Oh, ooh, that blue.
Isn't it nice?
Oh,
I love it. Yeah,
I love it. Beautiful.
But I played a show this past summer I played a show. Because this is what we're doing now. We're just saying this past summer and just making it like everything in 2019 and 2018 and 2020, right? So 2019, 2020 is last year, in case you're wondering.
I love that.
But actually last summer, in July of 2020, I played a show with this like low-key star from England. I don't know how I got on this bill. It was amazing.
Ooh.
He's one of these on the up and up guys who was about to explode before quarantine happened. And I opened for him and he's like, dude, you have a seagull. And I'm like, yes, I have a seagull. And he plays a seagull. And like, now we're best friends. It's like, this is great. I can't wait to go to England when this is all over and play a show with you. Famous person, you know, like it's really cool. So now that we both have Gretches, after this, I can open a show for you, and I can be you can be the famous person that I'm opening for. So I appreciate and thank you for that ahead of time.
You are welcome. I'll start planning it now.
Excellent, thank you. I appreciate that. But speaking of guitars, though, now I know that when you were in Strangers by Accident. I was like, Strangers by Strangers by Accident.
It's a mouthful. Yeah.
Also, great band name. I should remember it because it's so good. You were the bass player. Were you always a bass player? Were you a bass player first? Were you a guitar player first? Which one did you kind of find out?
I was a singer first.
Okay.
And then I would say a mediocre guitarist. And then I picked up the bass because Brian, my co-partner in the band, was a great guitarist. So the question was, where do we fill out the sound? And so I bought an acoustic bass off Craigslist and ran with it.
Well, that's amazing. I love that idea and I love the acoustic bass part of it too. That's really, really cool. As somebody who also, I think, was a mediocre guitar player in high school, when they were like, somebody has to play bass, and I'm like, I guess I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
I
a lot
love
of
the
bases.
bass.
It's so fun. Um,
Yeah.
do you have like a favorite song that you're like, oh, either I love playing that, or I wish I knew how to play that better, or
I loved playing Don't Let Me Down by the Beatles when we covered it in
mm,
Strangers by Accident.
that is
That bass
such a great.
just made me feel good.
That's I feel like unless you're a bass player, Paul McCartney is so underrated. And if you are a
Right.
bass player, you're like Paul McCartney is the best. Like it's so
Yeah.
it's one of
Yeah.
those things
He
because I feel no, go ahead, you go first.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say he blows my mind. I
Yeah,
love listening to his bass
it's
playing.
on and
Gosh.
just the movement. I think
Yep.
that I find amazing, and um, you know, for the untrained ear, they're like, how when I was in high school, I was like, how about Les Claypool? And I'm like, he's a good percussionist.
Yeah.
Um, but
I guess so.
how do you think now as I'm trying to figure out the right way to ask this question, the not really split, but the kind of the differences between the Strange of Accident stuff and your solo stuff, musically, do you kind of have an idea ahead of time saying, oh, I'm gonna write a solo song, or when you write a song, it's like, oh, this is a solo song. Do you have like a feel for that, and what would the difference
Yeah.
be?
Yeah. So it's more of the latter of what you just said. It's kind of like I'll write a song, and this was how Wyn Doran was born, per se, because I started writing these songs that were clearly not strangers by accident. And more of them were happening more often. And then it was like when I wrote my first album, I didn't have any expectations of performing solo. Like it was kind of really backwards journey because the songs came and then the songs felt like, oh, this is a sound I want to play with. Then I played with the sound. And then when I had this pile of songs, it was like, oh, I do want to step on stage with these. And that's what happened. But it's definitely like, I I've had trouble sitting down and saying I'm trying to write this song for a specific purpose. Whenever I try that, I fail. And so it's more like I sit down and the song is either salvageable or not. And it either is very country or folk or it's not. And then
That's
we go
amazing.
from
I,
there.
I I love everything about that so much. It's great,
Thanks.
especially because you sit down, you guitar riff happens. You're like, oh, that's a cool guitar riff. You start putting lyrics on it. You're like, this is trash. Um, and, but
That's happening a lot right now.
oh my goodness! But speaking of songs, and speaking of right now, you had two songs come out last year, and a pretty solid momentum gathering thing right before the whole let's before a year ago. You had a whole like you had
Yeah.
it seemed like you had a lot of momentum, and we're moving in a positive direction.
Thank
how
you.
how have you been able, or have you been able, I should say, to kind of keep that going, with the singles, with online presence, etc.
Yeah. It's been very interesting. I think in the beginning of the pandemic, I had been going really hard in 2019, pushing very hard with my live performances. And I was almost at a sense of complete burnout in March from all of that. Um, so, in a way, when it all hit, I was like, oh, I can sleep in my own bed for a while and think about life. And a beautiful thing that happened from that was I hadn't written songs in almost a year because I wrote them all leading up to the album, released an album in late 2019. And then I was just like, oh, I'm just going to try and be on the road as much as possible, but I'm not stopping to write.
Mhm.
So 2020 became a time where I met a lot of people, a lot of songwriters virtually, and started co-writing with a bunch of people every week. and just writing every week. And that is where one of the singles from last year came from, that batch of songs, a collaboration with two people I haven't even met in real life. I can't wait until
Can
I
you tell us who they
can.
are? Or
Yeah, yes, absolutely. One is named Justin Wiggins. He lives in Brooklyn, New York, and the other is Sarah Raballo, and she lives in the UK. So, like you, it sounds like we both need to
yeah,
go to
we're gonna
the
go to the
UK,
UK. It's gonna
and
be
we're gonna
awesome. Yeah,
tour
I'm
when
in.
it's
I'm
safe to
in.
do so. Yes. Um,
Um,
but yeah, so
that's amazing.
it just, yeah,
No, no, go ahead. You go first.
go ahead.
No, this is
I was
your
just
show.
gonna,
You go. Go ahead. Yeah.
it's our show, Dan. I'm
Okay,
honored to
fine,
be here.
fine.
No, I was just gonna kind of recap and say that it became a time for me to reframe and think about my writing process and grow from that standpoint. So
And figure out which songs you're like, that's trash. I'm throwing that away. Right?
yes.
Exactly.
Oh, there are so many of those. There's so many. You need the
I
bad ones to get to the good.
that's also true. Without without the bad ones, there are no good ones, right? Um,
That's what
because
I tell myself to make me feel better
if
anyway.
everyone is super, no one is super. Um, the
Yep.
the the wasn't that, oh yeah, so I've heard stories. I've not yet been able to do the tour thing myself. I've heard stories of the tour itself as a grind in which somebody can be creative. um, did you find yourself in that situation, or obviously with anything it's some kind of spectrum of fully one thing, fully the other. Where were you on that before the world shut down, I should ask?
Yeah. So I was fully. You mean between like you're either creative or you're on tour? Is that
Yeah,
kind of what you were
or
saying, or the
even
spectrum?
yeah, I feel like reading books and movies, they definitely are skewed one way because they want to be entertaining, but there seems to be a creativity that comes from being on tour. Although I 100% am connecting with your statement about playing the same songs over and over and over again kind of has you so focused it's tough to be creative.
Yeah.
So is that where you find yourself, I guess?
Yeah. There would be the occasional. So I guess I overlooked the first single that I released in the beginning of quarantine was April. And that was a song that I wrote while I was touring.
Okay.
Um, so songs were happening, but I have a lot of anxiety around performing. And so 2019, when I had as many performances as I could, because I was trying to take my music wherever I could, I was really always just focused on how do I make this live show better, how and focusing more on the performance art of it. And that took all the energy I had, and I couldn't focus. If I tried to sit down and write a song, I was too anxious about the show that I had 2 days from now, and
Mm.
I think that hindered the creativity. Whereas last year, or at least for patches, I would say there were seasons last year, because there were definitely seasons of last year where I didn't even touch an instrument. I didn't
Yeah.
want to. And I'm just getting out of one of those seasons right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I would occasionally have these months of just wanting to write and being so relieved that I didn't have to worry about a show too, because I
That
could
is kind of nice.
just
I
focus.
hopefully this is a help in that process.
Thank
And I'm very glad that you are here. This is wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Um,
thank you.
you actually have gotten a lot of love from. I'm looking through the chat again. The there's love from Seattle. People from Seattle are watching.
What?
People from Germany are watching. Uh,
Oh my gosh.
Afsha Elon checks in every Sunday. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is wonderful. And Andrew Giano is here. Andrew, who is actually next week's guest. which is very
Oh
cool.
my gosh, Andrew,
Yeah,
hi.
again,
I'll
another
definitely tune in next week.
another complete powerhouse of a
Yeah.
singer songwriter, and his voice is just it's just incredible.
So fun bit about him. I'm immunocompromised, so I've been like really, really on the isolated side of the spectrum just out of fear. But last summer, I finally went to outdoor dining somewhere with my husband and two friends we hadn't seen all year. Finally went, and Andrew was the music there. And I felt like the stars were, I had no idea. And just out of all of the excursions to go on, the fact that he was also outside playing was just
That's
beautiful.
it's
So he's the
almost
only live music I've seen in a long
it's
time.
almost like normal. It's like
almost, almost.
almost. Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of music, please, if you don't mind, play another one.
I do not mind. All right. So, first I want to say shout out to Matt, who I bet is watching because he was the one person that I went to see in quarantine and I just saw his name go on the top of my screen. So I feel like shout out to Matt. Thank you for picking the place that Andrew was playing at. And then I'm going to play you a Beatles song. So this is Eleanor Rigby. My husband got a green screen in quarantine and we made some weird videos last year. And one of the weird videos we made was because I had a couple of Beatles costumes. So I learned this song. And yeah, so if you want to see me in a wig and a mustache and you want to hear this again, then you can look on YouTube. But this is Eleanor Rigby. Look at all the lonely people. Look at all the lonely people. Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been. Lives in a dream, waits at the window, wearing a face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Who is it for, all the lonely people? Where do they all come from? All the lonely people, where do they all belong? Father Mackenzie, writing the words of a sermon that no one will hear. No one comes near, look at him working, darning his socks in the night when there's nobody there. What does he care, all the lonely people? Where do they all come from? All the lonely people, where do they all belong? Look at all the lonely people. Look at all the lonely people. Eleanor Rigby died in the church and was buried along with her name. Nobody came. Father Mackenzie wiping the dirt from his hands as he walked from the grave. No one was saved, all the lonely people. Where do they all come from?
Wow.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
that was tremendous. That was so good.
Thank you.
And everybody who is watching can now see that I meant when I said what a powerhouse you are. It's
Thank
so good. And I put up in the chat. I put the link to that YouTube video.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Thank you
so
so much.
so people who are watching or who are watching again for the second time, please feel free to go check that out. Wyn Doran. Let me find. Is actually I have a whole bunch of links that I meant to put up. You can check out the website, which again, such a great website, and I love the dots. The dots like you put like before and after your name. It's such a cool
Thank you.
it's such a cool visually different but yet seemingly meaningful thing. And I know that that's kind of awkward to say, but really, really
No,
neat.
I
I think.
love I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah,
And shout
where did
out
that come
to
from?
the dots. You know, I really don't know. I was one of those kids that loved like I guess calligraphy is the right word, but not
Mhm.
necessarily always the cursive calligraphy. Typography, maybe that's the right word. Like I
Okay.
was always the one writing things in different ways and like using parentheses where you don't need to and just playing around with that from an artistic sense. So I don't know, when I put together Wyn Doran, I really liked the triangle that made and just kind of ran with it.
No, I think it's
And
really, really cool.
I want to say shout out to my husband because he made the website. So Mike Doran, deserves the credit.
It
And
is
if
so good. It is such a great, nice job, Mike.
anyone needs a website,
Please
hit him
talk to
up. Hit
Mike.
me up.
That's amazing.
Talk to Mike.
You know what's really funny, and I don't know if you're doing this purposefully or not, but I've noticed you keep saying when I came up with Wyn Doran, or when I created Wyn Doran, or when I started Wyn Doran, as like this is a character separate from you, and I find that really fascinating. It's like that that Elton John part, where
Yeah.
if you're friends, you call him Reggie, but
Yeah.
is there do you see it is Wyn Doran part of you, or is Wyn Doran a character? I guess I should ask.
That is a great question.
Well, thank you. I try for the good ones. Hopefully, sometimes they actually land
Yes,
well.
they all are. Um, both. I think I was inspired by people like Elton John, Lady Gaga, people who have this stage persona. Because when I created, here I go again, when I created Wyn Doran, I think the hope is that I grow into her. And I think I have, but like I mean, if you would have seen me in Strangers by Accident 3 years ago, even, I was so cold, not cold, but so um, withdrawn on stage, so scared. And I loved the music, but there's a big sense of stage fright there. And when I started writing this collection of songs, they almost felt like they were pep talks to myself about like stepping into my own power. So I think taking on this different name and having these songs that were kind of for myself, self motivating, um, it's like Wyn Doran is this power that I am continually working personally to step into the confidence that I want. So I guess that's why it feels better. Also, just stage names in general feel better, or like I never meant to be solo Amy Doran. I loved Strangers by Accident. I love bands. I love collaborating. So I don't know. I felt weird stepping into my own name. Um, that's a great question. I think I have a lot more thinking to do on it
I I
too.
I'm listening to this, and to me, Wyn Doran is a superhero, and I feel like no, but I think that there's a certain amount of I'm fascinated by mnemonics and stuff like, what is the thing that, some people do it to keep other parts of their life private, or other people do
Yeah.
it to kind of like have that character to step into. And I often, so this is one of those strange things that happened to me a couple of times, where I was sitting at lunch. Actually, it was this week with friends of mine at school, where the place where I teach, and we were talking about people's stage fright, and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. But if I have a guitar and I have a microphone, I can do it because that's not me. That's that person who is the
Yeah.
singer or who is the guitar player. And I feel like I'm sure that there's. I mean, it sounds like you and I are similar in this, and it would not surprise me if there's many more people who kind of have that,
Yeah.
you know, thought process or whatever it might be. Does that make
Yeah. It's
sense?
really
Yeah.
interesting. It makes complete sense. And it's something I have been continually surprised by when I've met more and more artists, because I think almost all the artists that I've grown to know more personally do have these same feelings.
Mm, yeah.
And I used to just think, you see somebody confidently on stage that they are 1,000% confident and in it,
Right.
but they're doing a lot of work.
It's a
A
lot of
lot
work.
of
It's a lot of work, and a lot of
yeah,
faking it till you make it. I think too.
yeah,
But
exactly. Yep,
I feel like,
absolutely.
so. Yeah, go us. Good job. High five.
Go us. Yes.
Oh man, you know what? It's so funny because I have been waiting this whole time. I know we talked a little bit about it before we started. I'm like, how do I drop in the name thing? How do I get to it? And that was really good. Your answer was brilliant. I love it so much, and
Thank you.
it's giving me a lot to think about too, which is hopefully, we come here to entertain and educate and make people think, and hopefully
Absolutely.
everyone at home. We've had a pretty good number of people watching the show, which is great. Thank you, everybody who is
Nice.
watching. Um,
Thank you, everybody. I
yeah,
can't see. I just want them to know that I can't see them, but that I appreciate that they're there. And that I'll
it is
go creep
so
on all of
wonderful.
your comments afterwards.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, you seem to be getting ready with the ukulele there.
Just, casually trying to make it look smooth.
It was very smooth. It looked like it was practiced, as if it
No,
was.
definitely
You,
not practiced.
you're talking about it earlier. Manifested well. And,
Oh,
and
this old thing, I did not practice the switch 3 times.
right.
No. All natural.
Shall we?
Sure, sure. Yeah, which one am I gonna play? I am gonna play one of the first songs that I learned in quarantine that, ironically, Facebook memories come to haunt you. My sister-in-law, 10 years ago, before I was playing for anybody, I guess I wrote on Facebook, what cover should I learn? And she put this one. And then I didn't remember that, but I learned it this year. And then when that Facebook memory came up, I was like, oh, it took me 10 years, but here you go. This is Toxicity by System of a Down. Can hydrate first. Conversion software version 7.0. Looking at life through the eyes of a tire hub. Eating seeds is a pastime activity. The toxicity of our city. Now, what do you own the world? How do you own disorder? Now, somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep. Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep. Disorder. More wood for the fires, loud neighbors, flashlight reveries caught in the headlight of a truck. Eating seeds is a pastime activity. The toxicity of our city, Now, what do you own the world? How do you own disorder? Disorder. Now, somewhere between the secret silence and sleep. Somewhere between the secret silence and sleep. Disorder, disorder, Now, what do you own the world? How do you own disorder? Now, somewhere between the secret silence and sleep. Somewhere between the secret silence and sleep. Disorder,
That was amazing. Was
Thank you.
wow. So just letting you know, there are Armenian flags flying high in the chat right now in the comments.
Yes.
So
That's cool.
and it is that oh my that Andrew said it was crazy good. Crazy good does not describe how good that was. That was
Thank you.
that was
Thank you.
really, really tremendous. Wow. First of all, you had the ukulele. That's not the song I was expecting. And when you said you were going to play that song, that's not how I imagined it happening. That was wonderful. That was really, really, really good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that is I'm sure your sister-in-law meant that as a joke, and I'm so happy you ran with it.
I love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh man, how do I follow that? My goodness, I don't know. I got like nothing. But I actually, a question for you, I guess. Ultimately, kind of coming back to the original kind of conversation we're having. Um, starting out with Dave Crespo in Boston, whatever. What brought you to Boston? Was it kind of like it was the nearest big city? Was it kind of like I want to go do something there? What was the draw initially?
Yeah. How much time do we have, Dan?
It's
Kidding.
they're not going to shut. They're not going to cut us off. So you can keep going. This is your show. This is your show. I am just the conduit for which taking your information and giving it to the people.
Which is very much appreciated. So what brought me to Boston? I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, and then I went to college for business in Pennsylvania, and my first job was in Nashua, New Hampshire. And so I moved here in 2010. And I worked in the aerospace defense industry, and I had one of my big life crises. Now I get to say one of, that's special.
I think you once you hit a certain age, you start kind of like adding them all up and see how many you have, right?
At the time, you think it's like, that's the one. No,
that's not what happens.
Yeah. The gift that keeps on coming back. So a few years into that job, I left to go, I thought, back to school to be a doctor. And that chapter was beginning at Harvard in Cambridge. So I moved there. And that was before, life crises number 2, which coincided with I was taking pre-med courses and I started Strangers by Accident. And that music scene I'll probably cap it there, but I ended up going the music route in versus the doctor route,
Wow.
and ended up in Boston. But the kicker is that my husband has been working and living in New Hampshire the whole time, and our relationship is now about 9 years old, and he was always in New Hampshire. So eventually, once we got married, I migrated back to New Hampshire from Boston, but most of my music years were when I was living in Cambridge.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you to Harvard, I guess, for having you be part of the
Thank
community,
you.
the scene,
Yes,
the
for getting me there and
absolutely.
then me
Uh,
abandoning you.
yeah, no, you know what's really funny because I did the same thing. I went to Harvard and abandoned it. And
Yes.
so
Oh my gosh.
it was actually
You
they
and I and our Gretches
yeah,
in our
yes,
Harvard.
and are not
Sorry,
Harvard.
continue.
But I do like saying that I took classes at Harvard though, because that's kind of nice to say. But
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
when my students ask me, "You went to Harvard?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went to Harvard." I didn't say I graduated. I said I took
There were classes.
yeah, I took like 7 classes.
I took
But
them.
yeah, no, I it was right. My it was right. Right before my daughter was born, and I was like taking all these classes this summer, and it was awesome. It was so cool, and playing open mic nights, and
Yeah.
going to Pat Seam and going to Leisure Lounge.
Yes.
And my daughter was born, it all came to a screeching halt, including Harvard. So you try to figure out how to kind of rebuild that kind of thing, and Harvard was no longer part of it because,
Right.
well, the other reason is my money was going elsewhere. So
That is huge. Yes.
so yes, go us with our Gretches and
Yeah.
and our Harvard grudges. So there we go. Gretches and Harvard grudges. That's a record. That's that's an album title right there.
That's a song. Yeah.
So what is the plan? Are you jonesing to get back on the road? Are you kind of like seeing where these singles go, or if there's more songs that are coming? What is the next step for the character
Yeah.
known as Wyn Doran?
It is an album that may or may not be partially written. We're not sure. Now it's a we.
Yeah, see, it's so good. It's so good, right? I always do that on this radio show. I always say we. It's literally me sitting in my basement, like with my records and Frank Turner behind my head.
I
But
love it.
it's I always say we because it makes
I
it
don't know
like
where
official,
that came
right?
from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
I guess
no,
so. Like
this is what happens. Yep,
my
exactly.
team of
It's the
myself.
team, your support system, the uke and the Gretch, the extremely well lit tree behind you. I want to say that tree's amazing. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you. Me too.
yeah,
That migrated into this room just for this occasion. So I'm
did it
glad
really?
that
That's
you like
perfect.
it. Yeah.
That is perfect.
Thank you. But yes. What is next? What are we planning?
Yeah, what are you guys planning? Yeah.
Is I would like to think in 2022, knock on wood, that live music will be a close to what it was in accessibility. So my hopes this year are to record an album, to write and record an album, and kind of have that geared up for then when the world is a safer place for me to throw myself wholeheartedly into releasing and touring off of it. We'll
awesome.
see. Times keep changing, and
yeah. And I have another question. Speaking of tours, and this is also one of those things, and I'm sure people ask you all the time. Do you have like a favorite place? Like in Chicago, I love blah blah blah. In Philly, I love blah blah. Is there like one of those like 2 or 3 places that you're like, oh, I can't wait to get back to that venue?
I can say that about cities. And
Okay.
but now I feel cheap because you said the two that I would say. Philly and Chicago are my city. Like, I love playing there. There's I just the people that are there. I mean, nothing against the other places I go, but there's just like a warmth. It maybe so I was born in Philly, even though I never lived there, and
Okay.
then have the roots from growing up outside of Chicago. So I don't know if it's just like my soul has some roots there
Yeah.
and something's in the water, but those are my
It's so funny as somebody who grew up in New York City. I have this kind of ingrained hatred for Philadelphia, just like as
oh
a
no.
it's like built into to my being,
Yep.
and some
Yep.
of the nicest people I've ever met in my life are from Philadelphia, and it's like
Yes.
it's like this what do you call it? My brain can't actually function. It can't actually comprehend
I
that.
know that feeling.
Yeah, you will always be from Chicago for me, but sorry, no, I
Philly
shouldn't say that.
is
That's rude.
great.
That's rude. The city of brotherly love. No,
Exactly.
I've been to Philly. It is a great town. It is I think my favorite baseball park to go to, or one of them.
Mm.
And I'm a huge baseball fan, so that
Ooh.
it is such a nice park. It is like the
Yeah.
organization of it is beautiful. The actual park itself is nice. The how it's set up in the with like the restaurant and the bar, like it's so cool. Um, but yeah, so like is there like a venue, or you kind of just bounce around, or is it just like basically part of the scene?
All of my tours were through So Far Sounds, so there was no like concrete venue. So I don't have
Okay.
because we would be in like different random spots. So
We.
I don't.
You said we again. I love it. I'm gonna keep
I
saying this. It's see how it happens. How it's just so easy. You
It,
fall right into it. You just fall right into it. It's great.
well, it's just me manifesting, my
Yep.
team,
Yep.
the
See, this is
tour
great.
bus, the roadies,
I want
the
a sprinter
band.
van. That's my first step. A sprinter van with like
Ooh,
all
I
decked out
love
on the
it.
inside, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
Awesome. Speaking of awesome, you are awesome. This has been awesome. Do you have one
Thank
more song for
you.
us?
I have one more song for you. Um, this is one of the first songs I ever learned on ukulele. And before I would play for humans, I would only play for my cat. So she has heard this song now for almost 10 years over and over, more than anybody. This is Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. He left no time to regret, kept his lips away with his same old safe bet, while me in my head high and my tears dry, go on without my guy. You went back to what you knew, so far removed from all that we went through. Now I tread a troubled track. My odds are stacked. I'll go back to black. We only said goodbye with words. I died 100 times. You'll go back to her, and I'll go back to us. I miss you much. It's not enough for you. back to her, and I'll go back to black. We only said goodbye words. I died 1,000 times. You'll go back to her, and I'll go back to. I'll go back to black. We only said goodbye words. I died 100 times. You'll go back to her, and I'll go back to black.
Woo!
Thank you.
I always try to make enough noise that my mic clips just a little, so it's like I'll keep looking here, like
it is very
it's
appreciated.
clipping. But yeah, and because I feel like that's, and I say this every time, and I really believe it, that it's one of the things that I really miss. I miss the applause.
Yeah.
Even if it's just the bartender kind of clapping.
I agree. Just like another human acknowledging that a thing happened.
Yeah.
Like even and just sharing that energy in the same space. Like I
Right.
miss it so much.
Oh, totally. And it's one of those things where the interacting, and I keep thinking of I've watched a bunch of concerts online, and the Hold Steady has done a couple of shows which are great. Frank Turner behind my head there.
Yeah.
He's actually he played a bunch of shows from like his couch. I'm gonna play a show from my couch,
Awesome.
with my guitar, right? And there's a somewhat of a community in like the chat, like they're in people are kind of, so it's like so close, it's tantalizingly there, but
Right,
you're not
right.
you're not screaming along with other people at the top of your lungs or something, where that's the that's I guess that's the thing that's missing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're also
agree.
getting lots of love from Chicagoland, from Joe here. So
From my dad.
it's your dad. Hi,
I
Dad.
bet. Is it Joe Wyn?
That's him. Yep.
Hello, parents. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. This has been super fun. Andrew says it's beautiful, and that he's absolutely naming his next EP "Another Human Totally Acknowledging a Thing That Happened." Yes.
Yes. If I can sing, I was gonna say, Andrew, I'll sing harmonies on it if you let me.
Yeah. You can play bass too,
song.
right?
I'm offering.
I'm like, yeah.
Just
play
my
bass.
services.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'll play bass. That'd be great.
I
yes.
love it.
Ohan delivering food to Harvard means you went to Harvard. Yes, that 100% counts as going to Harvard. That is absolutely accurate. Oh man, this has been so fun.
Agreed.
Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Sunday with me and with us.
It was my pleasure. I really appreciate it, Dan. It was fun to hang out, and I can't wait till we can do it in person.
I know your songs are wonderful. Please, everybody, go to the Wyn Doran website, buy all the songs, especially the new ones. Go to the Bandcamp site that I put in the comments earlier. That one especially, Bandcamp is one of the sites that is best for artists when they are trying to sell songs and merch. So please check that out as well. Shout out to the palm tree from that. There we go. The palm tree is
thank you. That's the we.
It's absolutely brilliant.
The we in the scenario when
that's the we. You and the palm tree. There we go. Yeah. And you had your guitar tech too. Don't forget your guitar tech because you changed guitars.
Yep.
So yeah.
True.
That's very important to have. This has been absolutely wonderful. Hopefully that we will be able to spend time in real life sooner rather than later. I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna end the broadcast. Everybody who is at home, thank you so much for watching. Whether you're in your kitchen, your living room, your dining room, someplace else. Andrew Gino I'm so excited to have Andrew Gino next week on our show. Um, um, and we're here Sundays at noon. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your family you like, family you don't like, friends you like, friends you kind of like. Hey, we're still friends after this pandemic. We want to hang out. How's that? There we go. Did everybody hear that big boom just now? Was that just my computer?
There was a soft click.
Okay. I like really loud in my headphones. They were just like a like weird kind of. Anyway, thank you everybody. Have a lovely rest of your day. Stay safe. I'm super excited to get my first vaccine shot tomorrow. Hopefully everybody else is getting theirs in the near future. But peace out, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.